Greg, just a little while ago now, you went down to London and you went to Square Enix's office, didn't you?
Yes, I did so.
Because you are one of the people on the site that loves your Japanese games. I'm putting, I'm saying that right at the start because every time we do any video about a Japanese-based game, we get pelters. So I thought I'd just put it out there and say that we both love Japanese games, and I love Final Fantasy. And do you love Final Fantasy? Do you even want to answer that? Are you confident to answer that?
I have. I don't not love Final Fantasy. I think artistically it looks incredible. A lot of the character designs and the world and like the kind of lore. Obviously, all the stories are different as well. So I think that is like pretty amazing. I think it's a cool series. I've never really got into them though. I started playing.
Okay.
I started playing 10. For a bit, couldn't really get into that. I did mean to write a piece on that, but that kind of fell out the window.
Well, this is good, Greg, because it means that people can direct their hate to @Greg Hill this time.
Okay, that's fine.
Not me.
Also, I tried to play. I know I said Resident Evil 7, Final Fantasy 7 when it came out on PS4, but I just thought it was so. Like the graphics were so bad, and I found it so hard to like know where I was going.
You're just quoting it now.
I was just like, I can't play this. So I ended up like I bought it as soon as it came out, but I was like, fuck, I can't play it.
So I actually think it's going to be really interesting because Final Fantasy 7 is one of my favourite games of all time, and I mean, digressing slightly, but on the subject of the remake, I always wanted it, and then by the time they finally actually got around to announcing it, I was like, actually, I don't know that it's a good idea anymore. So I'm really looking forward to playing that and seeing what it is, because it won't be the game I grew up, as one of my favourite games of all time. But Jesus Christ, that's going to be a fun time. But there's a lot going on in Final Fantasy, because obviously we talked about Final Fantasy 15. Myself and Sean did, one of our freelancers who does stuff for us. And Greg, you went to play World of Final Fantasy, and I'm ashamed to say I'm not entirely sure what that actually is. I thought it was a mobile, like a Vita game, but I believe it's PS4.
I think it is on Vita as well, but it is a kind of strange spin-off. It's
So is it like Chibi characters?
Yeah, they're all little like tiny, little cute characters. So that's the kind of the character models are all based off. Like enemies are like that. They're all kind of cute and small, and obviously like there's two main characters, Lan and Rain. I think that's how you pronounce them.
But the other characters from the series are in it too, aren't they? Like I've seen screenshots with Cloud Strife in there and stuff from 7.
Yeah, they appear in them as summons. I think. I believe I was told.
That's cool. Okay.
So you can summon them as in your battle, but all the characters are like Chibi. But then when they between like the two main characters, you can change their form, and you can either be like kind of regular humans, or the wee tiny cute ones. So you can there's a kind of mechanic behind that, like because the game is based on stacking things on top of your head, like and balancing them on like and during battles. It does sound it sounds strange, but basically what you're doing is balancing like enemies on your head, so they're kind of like at like power ups or like kind of I would say like power ups really.
Still sounds strange.
Yeah, so you balance them on your head, and it depends on like what size you are, like whether you're big or small, how many you can balance, how big the ones you can balance are on your head, and when you do put those on your cranium, they give you extra skills, and you can do elemental attacks. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like I don't really know any other games like it. That it's how strange it is, but
I mean the game itself, from what you're describing in terms of like how it's like that's there's certain characters that appear that aren't. They don't look exactly as they look. Perhaps like Cloud doesn't look the same. Kind of makes me want to mention Kingdom Hearts, and ask, what this is? This that kind of thing where it's like a big mashup in a Final Fantasy style, or is it something? It's still like an RPG, right?
Yeah, the battle system is ATB. Like you can get the classic stuff. There's a classic mode for returning players. Like I think Square Enix now understand how much people love the old kind of battling system, so that is like integrated. There's a classic mode for people who want to go back to the kind of way it was played. There is a new battle kind of interface as well, which does work really well. It's kind of confusing to begin with, as I can explain it a bit more in my preview, but it's pretty confusing. The classic one is probably actually easy for everyone, I would say.
Classic as in like the Final Fantasy 7 style ATB kind of turn-based. Yeah.
It is all turn-based, and but I would probably say the classic is a bit easier because it just says like it's kind of like Pokemon because it's just like the 4 options and then you can just like pick those instead of the other one is using the D-pad and the kind of shape buttons to pick, and you'd never really know like who you're attacking or who's fighting and stuff like that. So it's probably easier just to go back to the normal.
Okay, so I mean, it looks good, does it? I mean, people are seeing this, but you know, YouTube compression, all that. You know, in person, does it look good?
It does. Outside the dungeons, we only did one dungeon in the demo.
Yeah.
Outside the dungeons, as you were kind of walking up to it, there wasn't much to explore, obviously, because it was kind of you were on like a set path, because it was a demo. Outside, it looked amazing. Like I did actually say like out loud, like wow, that looks great. It was really like high fidelity. The mountains in the background looked great. It looked like it was kind of like bursting with colour, and it was just smashing. But then when you went to the dungeon, it was kind of just... I don't expect dungeons to look absolutely immaculate anyway, but it was just a bit repetitive. But I think it'll be different in the full game because you're kind of going from one dungeon to another and not just kind of going round in circles like we were. But dungeons are the kind of main component, I suppose, of like finding treasure, and you're going in to like expel these kind of... I don't really say expel these demons, but like... When you get to the centre, you meet the kind of spirits of the last ones, like you see Ifrit, Shiva and Rama, and you can, like your old summons, you can like choose one of them to battle. Obviously just for the demo, you can only battle one. The other ones will appear in it later, but you can choose to battle them, and that's meant to be the ultimate battle. And it does work really well. Like I think the gameplay, more or less, it's just completely RPG. If you like the Final Fantasy battling, I think you'll like this game. The thing that's going to get most people, I think, is the kind of dialogue. Some of it is quite cringeworthy. Some of the puns they come out with. Some of them are funny, but the other ones just kind of don't land. You have to have a kind of juvenile sense of humour to enjoy them, which I wouldn't say I have a juvenile sense of humour, but some of them were quite funny, and you're just kind of like, you cringe so much that you laugh, but some people really won't appreciate it, I don't think. The Final Fantasy series being toned down in such a way. I think a lot of people prefer it darker, more serious, but this one is a lot lighter toned.
I don't know, there's some really silly stuff in the earlier Final Fantasies that like they may have at the time intended it to be like serious, but the po-facedness of it kind of made it funny. There's some real stupid shit in some of the dialogue of those games. So you went in, I think if I remember correctly, you were quite excited to play it.
I wasn't actually. I was more excited to play the other game I was playing, Dragon Quest Builders, which actually turned out that Final Fantasy was my favourite out of both of them. Okay. It seemed to just kind of suit my kind of playstyle more. I enjoy RPGs, obviously. So I really enjoyed the battling system. I've used the battling system before, obviously, in other Final Fantasy games, but it is a total standout. It's the best battle system, I think, in an RPG. It just flows so well. The battles are great. The way they kind of work out, the mechanics of you balancing things on your head, they can be knocked off, so you can like become unbalanced. You have to stack things on, and you can capture enemies as well, which is called imprisonment. Not to like mention any like other games that you capture creatures like Pokemon, which it kind of feels like a bit sometimes. You capture these creatures and they're the ones you can put on your head, so they have special abilities, and you have to kind of meet a certain condition before you can capture them, which it kind of feels a bit like Yokai Watch that way, where you're trying to kind of befriend these things. You can clear out a battlefield, and as long as this enemy is the last one standing, you can capture it, or you have to like hit it with a certain kind of attack, like a fire attack. There's a big long list of all these things, but once you capture them, they're like kind of your friend, I suppose, and they can be used in like future battles. So it's good to kind of like mix and match. It's kind of interesting to see the stats, how your stats change as you kind of vary the combinations that are balanced on your head. It's really weird saying balanced on your head so much.
Yeah, I mean the people who listen and always have a go at your accent are probably screaming that you're not saying heed. But that's the wrong region of Scotland, I believe.
No, I do say he'd, but
Okay.
just
Yeah,
not when I'm
yeah.
being nice and formal.
Glasgow's he'd, right, and Edinburgh's not, right?
I don't know. Actually, Glasgow is just every Scottish slang word that has ever been invented ever.
Okay, well on that
But
note,
I like to just limit myself.
fair enough. On that note, you can follow Greg at Greg Hill, and of course at GodisaGeek to keep up with all the information on every game ever made in the world, always and ever. That's a strange outro, but it'll do. Greg, thanks for your time,
Thank you.
and we'll catch you in the next vid. Bye bye.
Should have backed the GodisaGeek Patreon.